G'day, Chief. Welcome to the Inner Chief podcast and this special episode, which we call The Mini Chief. These are short, sharp highlights from our fabulous CEO guests, where you get a 5 to 10 minute snapshot of the highlights from their episode. Righto, Chief. Without further ado, here is the Mini Chief episode for this week with Angela Tsoukatos, CEO and 20 years executive team member. Let's talk about board roles now. You're doing more and more board work these days. What is the hardest thing for a board to sort of get right in its relationship with that exec team?
I think the hardest thing is knowing when to, intervene and when to, pull back. What do they say? Noses in, fingers out. So you're not there running the place. You're not the one that's pulling whatever lever it is, whether it's technology lever or the people and culture lever, the operational lever. You're not that person. It's the CEO and the leadership team. And understanding that role and that dynamic and getting it right, and knowing when you need to probably ask more questions, intervene a little bit more, and when to actually trust. I mean, you should always trust, but sometimes you might pick up something that you don't think it's right. It's having the wherewithal to have a constructive line of questioning so you get to the bottom of things, so that you are addressing, the risks in the organisation, the opportunities, etc. I think that's the hardest. And I certainly personally found that the hardest, that you're not the one that's pulling the levers. You have to actually trust and give people the space, and also give them the space to do it their way. And you can't retrofit whatever you've learned. I spent 20 years in a major, the biggest water utility in the company. It's a different organisation to some of these not-for-profits. Some of what I know applies, some of it doesn't, or it might apply generically, but it needs to be done differently. So you've got to have the wherewithal and I guess the EQ to know when to, stick your nose in and ask the questions, and other times to trust, let people get on with it. Because, people that have been in sectors too know an awful lot around how they work, how the industry works, how the stakeholders work. And you've got to respect that, I guess, that contribution, that knowledge, experience.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I'm sitting here listening going, it reminds me of that ancient, I think it's an Arab proverb that says, trust your camel, but tie its leg. They tie that one leg up at night time so the camel doesn't wander off into the desert.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
One of the things I think is really challenging in a board role is because you're not in the business, you don't really have great depth of understanding of where the risk really lies. And you're sort of reliant on the reporting and the stories that are being told you by an executive team. And that is the depth and breadth of your knowledge. And one board chair once said to me, it's quite interesting. It's like there's a bit of a veil over the organisation, and you get to see little bits here and there, but it's still a little bit foggy. But when it comes down to it, if you're a director of the organisation, you're held legally responsible. So there's this really difficult kind of challenge. You've got to master this art of asking great questions, of leaning in, and trust to a degree, because in the end, if the exec team is not performing, then you're the group that have got to make sure that happens.
Sure.
It's a really tricky kind of role.
Yeah, it is. But I think if you come at it from a constructive point of view, and you are there to, support and challenge, but you get that balance right and you build that trust, then I think execs will be a little bit more open. They won't try to manage you. I mean, I've spent a lot of time on the other end, and I've seen these dynamics from different perspectives. But I think if you have constructive relationships, but also, do your own research, connect with stakeholders, go out and do a field visit, go to events, you get a better sense of the business. But I really think it is about constructive relationships, trust, and also directors need to park their egos at the door from time to time, like we all do.
Yes, I think, that is some sage advice. Now that you're just talking about you've been in different seats and different shoes, right? You're 20 years on one side, now you're 10 years on the other. Now, through the lens of being a board member, what advice would you give to executives in dealing with board members?
I'd say, first and foremost, understand the role of board and understand that the buck does actually stop with them. I think most of the directors that I know feel that quite deeply. So it is important to respect those roles and responsibilities. Boards are not just there to rubber stamp what management, come up with. They really need to own the strategy, the governance, some aspects of the stakeholder relations. The other thing I would say is, treat directors like people. Connection is personal, while you respect their roles. The other thing I would say, think about what they need in order to do their job and make the risk-based decisions or take opportunities. Someone I worked with years ago said that we had a habit of, this was the Tony Filakarunas, who was our safety manager at Sydney Water. He used to say we had a tendency to tell boards everything that we know rather than what they need to know. Okay. And that's not what they need to know as in managing your filtering.
Yes,
it's
sure.
about what do they need to make, decisions. And I think it's be honest and, as I said, don't filter, don't sugarcoat. You don't need to be alarmist, but be honest when things aren't going to plan. No boards want to be surprised. They don't want to be told 6 months later, a year later. If you've got good reporting, obviously that helps a lot. You've got good KPIs and you can see the signals, if things are going amber or whatever. But it also is useful to flag things up, proactively. I've found that over the years, boards react much better and, in fact, will help to try and solve an issue rather than if they're surprised.
Chief, there you have it for this week with our mini Chief episode. All the links and resources can be found at chiefmaker.com/356. Now, Chief, do you find yourself at work in one of those incredibly stressful moments where you've got someone on your team that either isn't performing or is behaving poorly, and deep down that it needs a difficult conversation? One of those ones that can keep you up at night. If you get wrong, there's going to be HR issues, but if you get right, it could actually be a little bit career defining, and it will make life so much better for so many people, but you just keep putting it off and off and off. Well, Chief, we've created the ultimate resource for you. It is called Difficult Conversations. Download, it's not hard, but what's in it is what's most powerful. The mindsets, the frameworks, and even some of the scripts, the words to use to make those conversations much more easy. Just go to chiefmaker.com/difficult and you could download the full resource right there. And if you would like to stay in touch and hear all about some of the best resources you can find anywhere in the world to improve your performance at work, go to chiefmaker.com/subscribe. Now, Chief, if you're yet to rate the episode and subscribe, I hope you'll do so soon. It helps others see the magnificent value that the chiefs and gurus bring to their life and career. So make sure you hit subscribe on your podcast app now, give it a 5-star rating if you think it's worthy, and leave a short review about your favourite episode. Righto, Chiefs, as always, remember to stay epic.